This is Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
You know, I think our system's been good, and we have the guys that play it hard and play it the right way. There's a lot of pressure, a lot of good reads, and a lot of guys in position, so there's not a whole lot of space out there when there's that much speed.
That's netminder for the Winnipeg Jets. Connor Hellebuck taking a hiatus. He's going to, of course, be between the pipes for the United States when the puck drops tomorrow for the Four Nations face-off. Cam Poitras, Jim Toth. Jim, how you doing?
Good day, sir. I'm doing well now that my mic is on. I'm well, thank you. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
One
Jets,
more sleep.
That's it. Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line. We'll win a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method. 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the program. Joined by Kelly Moore, Jet studio host right now. Hello, Kelly. How are you?
I am well. I'm at the Hockey for All Center, and my microphone is on.
Perfect. Well, this
done.
wouldn't work otherwise.
That's a veteran move to turn your mic on.
Those who know. So you're down at the Hockey for All Center. Any updates from practice before we get going here? Jets captain Adam Lowry, was he out there?
Yes, he certainly was, in a regular jersey and taking line rushes with Mason Appleton and Nino Niederreiter. So I would suspect that band will be reunited for Saturday night in St. Louis. Morgan Barron was not on the ice for practice. And, of course, the three players that are otherwise occupied with the Four Nations face-off in that championship game tomorrow night clearly weren't there either. Other than that, though, it was all hands on deck.
That's great. That's great to see.
I'm a little surprised that Morrissey, Hellebuck, and Kyle Connor didn't come back for practice and then went back to the Four Nations, because apparently Quinn Hughes is practicing with his team and maybe going to the Four Nations.
Well, I guess he can do everything. Yeah.
I was most disappointed that Jamie Thomas would not make the trip
That's
back
true,
and
yeah.
forth to
He's got nothing else
today.
going on right now.
Yeah. So, Kelly, you sent me a text message last week, and you, over this little bit of a break, you've been going hard at power play, time on the ice, as well as 5 versus 5. But let's start things off. Where are the Winnipeg Jets right now in terms of their power play based on other teams' time on the ice? Because this is really cool.
Yeah, Cam, the genesis for this was when the number 2 unit scored a couple of power play goals in that game against Carolina. You know, you know what? When there's some downtime, I am going to do a little bit of a dive into how other second units are performing on the ice. You know, Christian O'Mell, the smart guy he says, well, how are you going to do that? And so what I decided that probably the most accurate barometer would be to take the time on ice for power plays for the first 5 players of each team, and then go to the next 5 or beyond, depending on how many players have been used on the power play, because I don't think it's any great revelation that the Jets' second power play unit has been outstanding this year, and I wanted to see if there were any other second units that came close to measuring up against them. And as it stands, there is one team where I'm going to go based on first 5, next 5. There is one team where the next 5 have actually outscored the Jets' next 5. Any guesses on who that team might be, fellas, before we rip open the envelope?
Who's had a really great power play this year so far?
I would think the Oilers, maybe. I don't know.
No, they're pretty top heavy.
Yeah.
Yes. Very much so, Cam.
Yeah. You know what, Kelly? I don't have a good guess. Let me
Nashville?
No.
Oh, wait a minute. What about Dallas?
No.
I'll go with Vegas. I'll say Vegas.
No, not Vegas either. The only one that you got right out of all of that was in even the vicinity was Dallas. Their number 2 unit has scored 11 times, while Dallas, the number 1 unit has scored 16. Now, if you take all the players that have played on the Dallas power play, go beyond next 5, then Dallas breaks even at 16-16. So, Jim, you were close. But no, the Pittsburgh Penguins, their top 5 based on time on ice, Sidney Crosby, Ricard Raquel, Erik Karlsson, Brian Rust, and Evgeny Malkin, have been outscored 19-17 by the next 5 of Matt Grzelcyk, Michael Bunting, who has 9 power play goals this year, Chris Letang, Kevin Hayes, and Phil Tomasino. Now, the Penguins have had some injuries, so there could be some situations where some of those next 5 guys have actually been on the number 1 unit. That's why I use the time on ice as the barometer. The one license that I used a little bit to stray away from that was Montreal, because of course once Patrick Laine came back from his injury, he's always been on the number 1 power play unit for the Habs. So even though he's not in their top 5 time on ice, I counted his power play goals because it's incredible what he's done on that Montreal power play into their first 5. But as far as second units are concerned, Pittsburgh has received 19 from their players that have not been among their top 5 time on ice guys for the power play. Winnipeg is next with 17, and it's been a lot more status quo for the Jets. Their number 1 and number 2 units have been pretty much clearly defined all year long. And then the Seattle Kraken would be next at 13, Dallas and Calgary at 11 each. So again, that is based on time on ice, on power play, time on ice for the first 5 as opposed to the next 5.
Well, that's outstanding. Like, isn't that just make it just that much more impressive for, like, it's essentially a 10-man unit then at this point.
It is. And so, when the question comes up, can this 33% plus percentage be maintained? I think that there is certainly more than enough proof because of how good both units have been. And that's the other part too, Cam, you made an excellent point about how top heavy Edmonton is from their first unit to their second unit, per se. There's a 27 goal differential, which is the highest in the National Hockey League. And if you also take the time on ice for their 5th player in that category compared to their 6th player, it's 104 minutes and 31 seconds. There is the next closest team is Tampa Bay, 67 minutes and 31 seconds. So that shows so 104 and a half minutes compared to 67 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
And that's again from the 5th player time on ice wise on the Edmonton first power play unit compared to the number 6 player.
So the second unit's going out there for 13 seconds. Kelly, you also did a deep dive into the 5-on-5 differential. This is cool.
Yeah, the 5-on-5 differential, because, a lot of the times people say, well, their power play is great, but does not apply to the Winnipeg Jets, because other than the Washington Capitals, the Jets have the best goals for and against differential, 5-on-5 at plus 36. Washington's a plus 38 coming out of the Four Nations break. Toronto is the next closest at plus 28. And also, the other thing, too, that I think applies here is when, you guys have been around long enough to know that you measure special teams. If you can get to that magic 100 mark when you combine the percentages of the power play and the penalty kill, Winnipeg is at a league best 113. The New Jersey Devils are just a touch under 112. And then you've got the Tampa Bay Lightning. Guess, and this is my last skill testing question for you. Guess who is number 4 on that list?
Nashville's got a pretty good penalty kill.
Yeah. Carolina?
No. Carolina's number 6, Jim. So you're in the neighborhood.
You're close.
Story of my life, close, but don't get it.
Anyway, it's the Chicago Blackhawks.
Come on.
What?
That's the one thing. Chicago has pretty good special teams. Their power play is 24.6%. Their penalty killing is up there at 82% in the top 10. So I thought that one might surprise you guys a little bit.
That is surprising.
Yeah, that is.
That's definitely surprising.
The Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Wow,
listen, it's their 5-on-5 that's failing them.
Oh, yeah, Chicago.
Well, that and everything else, except for the penalty kill.
Yeah. Chicago has the third highest goals for and against differential going the wrong way at minus 31. No surprise, San Jose's minus 43 and Nashville's a minus 36.
So, Kelly, is this sustainable in your mind? Like, if it is, it'll be – I never thought that Oiler power play from a couple of years ago would get, any other team would be better than that. Is this sustainable in your mind? Because there's not that many games left.
I think it is, Jim, and I'm glad you brought up the Oilers because they are so number one unit reliant. If those guys go cold or if one of them gets hurt, I think it really affects them. Where with the Jets, and that's one thing that has been said about this team a lot this year. They find different ways to beat you. How many times, boy, I wish I had $1 for every time Scott Arniel said that. And so with this little bit of evidence that we have provided for you, I think it is sustainable because of the depth that they have on the power play, and then especially we'll see what they do or don't do at the trading deadline. But then also they're not affected by their 5-on-5 play, even if they're not top heavy on special teams. And let's face it, you take a look at the last 10 games, the Jets are only getting 1 or 2 power plays each game because teams know they have to stay out of the box.
Yeah. Kelly Moore, Jet Studio host, 680 CJOB Sports Director. Kelly, great stuff. I appreciate that. That's real cool stuff. So thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, fellas. I really appreciate sharing some of this on what I did during the Four Nations face-off break.
Great
Back
stuff
at the
there.
rink.
And I just, in the last week, before the break, they had the game where they got 2 power play goals in the game, but both came from the second unit.
Yeah,
that was the Carolina game.
Right, the 3-0 shutout.
That's what spurred this all on.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. Call the Jets at Noon Hockey Hotline. It's open 24/7. Call 204-780-6800. You want to call us at 2 a.m., you can get a hold of Jim and I on the Hockey Hotline. Or you're calling from anywhere. I know that the people who download the podcast.
And don't be
It's only
surprised
53% from Manitoba. The rest of other people, they want to get their voices in.
Wow, and don't be surprised at 2 a.m. if Cam answers. Hello?
Things are going real bad.
Tell these guys something that
I am in with
hello?
with my 4-month-old. I'm in bed at 7:15 right now
you're
during
up
the
at
Four
4
Nations
a.m.
face
at 2
off.
a.m. So there you go. Hello? Yeah, this is Cam.
Did you see the Rich Eisen quotes?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that after 12:30.
Really good.
Great stuff from him, and we'll also break down the latest news from the Four Nations face-off. We are on the eve, the deep breath before the plunge, as Gandalf said, before the forces of Mordor arrived at Minas Tirith. As well, the Four Nation face-off ticket prices have come out, Jim. How much do you think they are?
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
And I bet you they can get it.
I think we have to go a touch lower. We'll be right back.
Jets at Noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, the Four Nations face-off. How much are the tickets? The cheapest ticket right now, Jim, $1,014 for the quote-unquote nosebleeds. But if you're going down close to the ice in the lower bowl, over $7,000.
$7,000.
Yeah.
So Kyle Bukakis on the broadcast for Sportsnet talked to that guy in the last row, and they said, "Do you have a ticket for the final?" He said, "Yes." He had a USA jersey on. He said, "You get a lot of money for that." He goes, "No, I'll be here." And I'm like, and they showed the view, like his right up against the wall in the top row. Still not a bad seat, not a great seat, but I'm like, once you reach, because he probably bought him pre-tournament, right?
Oh, it's smart guy. The Rich Eisen Show. Talking
would
the
you
Four
sell it?
Nations face-off. I'd have to have the ticket. I don't know. I couldn't say. We'll be right back.
Canada, the fans, the atmosphere, and the people of Canada. It doesn't. I mean, the feeling of just getting up and playing for your country. There's no better feeling.
That was Brandon Hagel, who's becoming a national hero.
I've done a 180 on him.
He's driving the bus.
I felt bad because I said Hagel. Hagel, I get. He can score.
Yeah.
But it was Hagel, Bennett, Konecki. I was kind of like, do we need all
Sorelli,
3 of those guys?
yeah.
Sorelli, do we need all 4 of those guys? And I've come around on Hagel. I mean, that quote yesterday, too, of we don't got a lot of group chats going on. I did it for the flag, not the chatter or whatever.
not the cameras.
Then the cameras. And then the ones during the game after the first intermission, well, he asked me, and I'm not backing down from that guy. And then after the game, he's like, yeah, we heard rumblings that they were going to come play the Canadian game or take our game from us, and I'm not going to let that happen.
Jets at Noon is brought to you by Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road. VIP take on the text line wins a VIP car wash from our good friends at Wash Method, 204-780-6868. We'll announce the winner later on in the show. Let's get to a text message here. Go ahead.
Are you surprised Adam Lowry could be... Like yesterday when he was on the show, he said, well, we'll see.
Yeah.
And the way he did that, because Scott Arniel said, we'll see after the break.
Yeah.
But clearly in practice today and regular contact, I was, and maybe obviously he healed, right? But I was kind of worried about this.
Yeah.
I think this is a very good positive sign.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, here's the thing, too, with Adam Lowry, that he's going to move heaven and earth to make sure that he was going to be suited up when the Jets restart things in St. Louis.
Yeah.
If there was a possibility of it, he was going to make sure that he was going to be there. So it definitely bodes well. Let's get to text message here. He says, hey boys, it's Dan the Tub Man here. Wondering if I'm the only one on the fence about Thursday's game. I want Canada to win, but also want Helly and KC to take it down. Helly for MVP would be great. Cheers. Yeah, there's lots of people who've conveyed that, Dan the Tub Man. Who, of course, I will take seriously with a name like that. I am not rooting for the Americans in this one. Okay, going into the tournament, things have changed. I think for a lot of people, and I certainly went into it being like, I hope all the Jets play well, and it'd be nice if Canada wins. No. Yeah, Canada's we have to win tomorrow.
So we talked about this going into it, right?
Yeah.
And you've done well, I wouldn't say 180 because we were kind of like, if America won, we'd be like, well, that's good for Hellebuyck
I started to
Connor,
change when
we all wanted Canada.
When Sidney Crosby came out and started talking, that's when things started to change for me. I'm like, oh, this might be a lot better than I thought.
Cam, it's so bizarre how this tournament has really changed me.
Yeah.
I don't know a time of watching an event like a playoff or an all-star festivity or where I haven't, but I'm reminded of, I know exactly where I was in 2002 in Cranbrook, BC. I just had a car accident. I was walking around with sore ribs and a broken nose. And I just remember sitting in my one-bedroom apartment that had lawn chairs because my furniture hadn't arrived yet. And I remember...
Oh, you were there with me in Drayton Valley, too, when I was working in Alberta, working in radio. You were there. I just had a couch. I was sleeping on a couch. I had all my clothes on a rug in front of my couch.
I had an air mattress and 2 lawn chairs, and I was just riveted. And a buddy of mine from work that I just met came over, and we're watching, on Sunday afternoon, this... And then he and I did a show, a WHL show, a Western Hockey League show for the Kootenay Ice. And what our segment was that week was we reenacted the goals. And so we got a couple of the players from the team to put on the Canadian jerseys. And they weren't on skates and neither were we. We just went on the ice and reenacted the whole, where Mario Lemieux dummied the pass through his legs to Korea. Korea did it.
100%,
we just reenacted all the Olympic goals and the gold medal. Yeah. And then I know where I was in 2010 here in the city and watching that and hearing the Iggy and then beat Ryan Miller. And this is what the tournament has done. It's brought me back to that. And I never thought it would. I'm like, well, this isn't going to be the Olympics. I'm fired up for the Olympics. It is just all in. And what you just said there, I hear Hagels talking about the flag and I hear Sidney Crosby talk and I'm all in on this.
2002, both of them I watched in the living room at my dad's old place in North Kildonan. And I remember exactly who was there for both of them. And they were real special moments that I'll always remember. I'll remember the 2 gold medal wins. And Sochi was good. I was living in Calgary at the time, but I've said this, Canada was so dominant in that tournament that it essentially took sort of the excitement about it.
And notice how
this is a coin flip game. That's why this is so exciting.
Yes.
This is a total coin flip.
Because we're not talking about the last one, because when we do talk about it, it's Carey Price and how he was sometimes seeing 17 shots.
Yeah, the Canadians' defensive.
And he set Olympic
insane
records for goals against, save percentage. Yeah. I don't know if he actually did or not, but it seemed like he did. And it was just, they were dominant, right?
Yeah.
And we never feared anything. I think the idea that we all know the U.S. is very, very good.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll go back to that game Saturday. Lost in all the hoopla and everything is they were clinical defensively.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think they have a deeper roster than Canada.
And Charlie
But Canada has a high-ender. They got the goaltending. That's why we're fascinated this time compared to the last Olympics, because with this tournament, we're a little nervous. We're a little scared, right?
This all leads right into the comments from Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen Show. Now, Rich said this, and I can't run the audio because, copyrights and all that stuff, but
Rich will come up here.
He will come and get me. And I've heard stories about Rich Eisen, but I will read this quote because this is dynamite stuff. And this is in contrast to the NBA. We also talk a little bit of NBA and Kevin Durant in our podcast exclusive content, which if you download the podcast, you can get that exclusive talk between Jim and I where we talk about Kevin Durant, where he compared the NHL to the NBA and free agency and all that stuff. So it's a fun chat. So
and I'll say this.
Download the podcast and take a listen to that.
I told you don't get me going on the NBA, and then you got me going.
Stop!
And then you got me going.
You'll go. And this is in total contrast to that. So let's get into it. Rich Eisen. The NHL has figured it out. They've cracked the code. Saturday night, my phone started buzzing like crazy. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's right. The NBA slam dunk, the 3-point stuff. Nope. My phone is going crazy because Team USA and Team Canada in the Four Nations face-off are beating the crap out of each other. And all we ask for as sports fans when players play is that they care as much as we do. And who knew that the words face-off in the Four Nations face-off was them ripping each other's faces off. 3 fights in the first 9 seconds. Now listen, we're not bloodthirsty here. You just want to see that it matters, that it's personal, that it means something to you. Certainly, if it's an exhibition or a friendly, why should we watch if you don't care? And then the hockey ensued. It was must-watch television. Awesome. I will be watching Thursday. Everyone else in professional sports in North America should take note. There's tons of stories going around all over American media in the United States. I'm not saying anything controversial here, but the NHL and ice hockey is not usually top of mind in most sports fans across the United States, right? That's always been the job of Gary Bettman and the Board of Governors and all those guys. How do we grow the game in the United States? Once we tap into that market, it means more money for everybody else, right? I mean, it's why the Jets left. It's why Quebec left. It's why Hartford left, right? All this stuff. Why the expansion teams have been going to Sunbelt. I mean, it's all documented. I think you're going to see huge numbers for this game coming up. And it's guys like Rich Eisen, who I know is a hockey fan, but on his program, it's NFL, it's NBA, it's MLB, it's NASCAR, it's that sort of thing. But I think this game, because of it being United States and Canada and how incredible the performance was from the guys and the passion and the care and the matter that they put into it, this is going to be a massive game. And I think this continent, Canada, United States, is going to be glued in.
So this is great that all these people that don't normally talk about hockey are talking about. Like John Cooper said, this tournament has done more for hockey than anything else in the past decade.
I agree.
But what he says there about the care, and I still stand by this. And look, I'm a massive Johnny Gaudreau fan.
Yes.
I still have a hard time figuring out why Columbus, because Columbus wasn't going to win. And I get it that, and I'm not trying to disparage Johnny at all, because I highly liked him as a player.
I know how, I know how you feel about him.
I've been on this airwaves going, I don't get where's the winning. Where do players want the winning? And I also understand that I'm a different generation. I know the 20-year-old generation right now is about lifestyle, the money, and winning all combined. It's on an even keel. And I'm from a generation where it was winning. I'll take a pay cut to go play for the Red Wings and try to win. That's the generation I'm from. Ask any one of us what we would do for a chance to win a Stanley Cup, even though I'm in my 50s, right? Yeah. Like any of my friends, and they were like, so the NBA has it's the caring part of that Rich Eisen thing.
That's what he's talking about. That's what he's talking about.
That's what gripped you and I.
Yeah.
Is Sidney Crosby speaks, Brendan Hagel speaks. They care more than we do.
Even on the American side, the Kachucks,
They
listen
care.
to them talk.
They want to win this. And that's what fans want to see.
Yes.
Is that you care. And so when we got into, and it's on the podcast, but when we got into, the NBA is so far lost on this. And there's such a massive disconnect between fans and them. I mean, I can't say it any stronger. Do you think Adam Lowry will rest on Saturday? Do you think Kyle Connor will come off this win or lose Thursday and go, I need a rest for some fan paying a ticket in St. Louis? It's a massive disconnect. And Rich Eisen is right in any sport. All we want to see is that, as fans, is even if you're terrible, ask Raider fans, even if you're terrible, that you care like we do. And this tournament has done that.
Yeah.
This tournament has done that in spades, and I even think that the NHL regular season has done that in spades. I'll go back to, you and I both think Connor McDavid should have been suspended after the chicken wing in Minnesota, and he wasn't, so they could play in Colorado, and they play in Colorado, and it's one of the best games of the regular season. The NBA doesn't get that. I go into this on the podcast, but how Luka Doncic gets traded and doesn't suit up for the Lakers for 9 days? JT Miller gets traded, and he's in the lineup for the Rangers the next day. And all that momentum of the trade is there. There's fans that aren't even Rangers fans or Canucks fans tuning in to watch him. The NBA doesn't get it, and Rich Eisen nails it. That's what this tournament has done, because we're hearing from players who actually care more than we do as spectators and media and fans.
That's right. No, I think you couldn't have said it better there, Jim.
And you brought up a good point with the Chuck brothers. You might not like them, but they cared more than any of us.
Yeah.
It matters to them, and that's what we as fans should be thankful for.
And it's the whole team. It's like,
yes,
like Josh Morrissey isn't the guy, or even Connor Hellebuyck. Let's go on both those two guys, right? And I played a clip from Connor Hellebuyck earlier on in the show. You know how much it matters to those two guys? They're not the guys that are going to go out there and be a little bit of boisterous and maybe say what Brandon Hagel's been saying or what the Kachuk brothers have said. That's just not their style.
Yeah.
But if you see Josh Morrissey's face in some of these interviews, you can't make that up.
So here, when we get back to what will happen on Thursday and what we'll cheer for, like Josh Morrissey's won, right? He's been to a Memorial Cup. He's won a Western Hockey League. He's won a World Junior title. I believe he played U18 and things like that. When was the last time Kyle Connor or Connor Hellebuyck won something?
Yeah.
Now, I know Kyle at UMass, or Connor, sorry, Hellebuyck at UMass went to the Frozen Four, but they didn't win it. Kyle was 1 year at Michigan, didn't win the Frozen Four, came here. It's been 8 years. I'm a loser, low-end athlete at best.
I'm even lower.
My last college soccer season, we were 0-1-9, and it haunts me. And that was 30 years ago. The only thing I've won as an athlete was a junior high basketball city title in Lethbridge. That bothers me. That's the only thing I've won. And I'm normal, average, nobody. These guys are wired this way. You can't imagine what it would mean to Kyle Connor or Connor Hellebuyck to win something. It's been close to a decade since they've won a championship. I promise you that.
Yeah, I just got a text from Henry. He says, hey, Cam, this was PK Subban on NHL versus NBA. Sent me the link. Yeah, I saw that too, Henry. I'll put that on my X account. So just find me on X, Cam at noon. I will post if you have not seen it. And even if you want to watch it again, I'm going to post that on my X account in just a second.
Like it matters to them, right?
Yeah. Here's Chris Johnston. He's doing some reporting down there. Where things stand on Quinn Hughes. What's going on here? Team USA is still working through the process of trying to bring him to Boston. He's not there yet. Hughes has been skating during the break, and the U.S. wants all their best available options. He'll skate with the Canucks today, so he's in Vancouver. He's going to get to Boston tomorrow. 3 time zone jump. He's also wearing a non-contact jersey skating, so I can't see this happening. We'll wait and see.
Now, he was on the original roster, so I don't know if that's different than the Thomas Harley.
I wish I had a better answer.
But I think they need another player to be missing, or I don't know if they can just put him in because he wasn't healthy and was on the original roster.
Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk, Austin Matthews, both on the ice. They are apparently good to go. No sign of Brady Tkachuk, but all indications are is that they're going to be going as well. And all 6 healthy D-men were accounted for in skating. Vincent Trocek, who's banged up against Sweden, also says he's good to go versus Canada. Here's something. Charlie McAvoy's been diagnosed with an infection in his right shoulder as well as a significant injury to his AC joint. He's in hospital taking IV antibiotics. undergoing an irrigation and debridement procedure. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what that is, but it's too bad for Charlie. And I mean, he's a member of the United States, but I think anybody, especially if you're in that fight right now and doesn't have the opportunity to try and finish this thing off, that's a shame. Let's take a break. Let's come down. I mean, we're talking with passion. We're talking about excitement, Jim. Is there going to be a come down for players that are participating in this and they have to go back to the regular season on Saturday? Don't give me your answer. We'll talk about that after this.
Jets at noon with Cameron Poitras and Jim Toth on 680 CJOB.
Well, the winner of the Wash Method Car Wash, 690 St. Anne's Road, the VIP text. This one comes from Matt. The power went out at my house from 6:30 until 8 on Saturday. I missed the entire first period. I could have cried.
Oh, no.
Oh, Matt.
I
have to send you a car wash to make up. I got to help you out a little bit.
Here, I might have some money on me, too. I got $5. Can we give Matt
I got a toonie and a nickel.
No, it's a loony. It's not $5.
Download the Jets at Noon podcast free now on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts, with exclusive Jets talk and content only found there. And take Jets at Noon wherever you go and continue the conversation whenever you want. Is there going to be a come down here, Jim, for players participating in this on Team Canada in the U.S., like Hellebuck, Morrissey, Connor, to go from this and then to have to dial it back? Do you have to dial it back? I mean, why can't you just keep the intensity?
Yeah,
I was wondering about that.
I don't know about that. I don't know if there'll be a letdown. If you lose, probably. But if you win, I think you keep riding high. But I will say this. I'm interested to see how the rest of the NHL plays. I think all the players watching this kind of antsy, right?
Yeah.
And I bet you this first weekend of NHL again, they're like, that was great hockey. Let's go. Like, I bet you all the other players not involved in this have a little extra jump this weekend.
It's going to be real interesting. Jim Toth will take you all the way until 2 o'clock. Thank you very much, Jeffrey Fortier, for producing the show. That's it for me. I'll be back same time tomorrow. See ya.
Great song, Forts. Canadiana.